Hey, everybody. You're about to hear a synopsis of the movie Boys in the Hood. Enjoy the show. Every 21st Black American is a victim of homicide. Most of them die at the hands of other blacks. South Central, 1984. On the way to school, some kids are discussing that they heard gunshots last night. One of the kids offers his friend something to look at. He leads them to the place where a man was recently killed. Everything is splattered with blood. In class, 10-year-old Trey Styles makes jokes and the teacher suggests he teach the lesson himself. The boy tells that the remains of the most ancient man were found in Africa, which means that all people on Earth come from this continent. Another boy did not like that he was called an African, and the altercation between school children immediately turned into a fight. On the way home, Trey met a gang of kids. A game of chance soon changed to a scuffle. Trey's mother was told that her son was suspended from school for 3 days, but it didn't matter, he would change schools anyway. The woman decided to take the boy to live with his father. She hopes that Trey won't be killed or imprisoned. It is desirable that he doesn't drink. His father is still alive and very happy about it. Jason is surprised that an ex-wife can so easily part with her child. Trey says hello to his local peers, Chris and Darren, nicknamed Donut. Trey is very upset about the move and hopes his mom will take him back as soon as possible. She will, but only after Reva graduates and finds a job. As soon as his mom left, his dad handed Trey a rake and ordered him to remove leaves from the lawn. The job took Trey an entire day. He was not happy about the peeling bathtub in the new house, and Trey will be the one to clean it, as well as the floor, sink, and toilet. Jason says he's teaching his son responsibility. But his friends have no one to teach them, so it's unlikely they'll have anything good ahead of them. In the middle of the night, a burglar breaks into their house. Jason pulled out a gun and fired a few shots, but the intruder managed to escape, leaving only his sneaker behind. The police didn't arrive until an hour later. The cops were busy buying donuts. What's interesting is that it was the dark-skinned cop who turned out to be the racist. Darian Donut is pestered by his mother, calling the boy a useless lowlife. He's just like his useless father. Trey, on the other hand, Ms. Becker, is much more friendly with Trey because she has her eye on his father. The fourth boy in, Ricky, Donut's half-brother. He dreams of becoming a professional athlete. A girl named Brandy has moved into the house next door, and the brothers are already arguing about whose girlfriend she will be. Chris offers to show his friends the dead body. There was indeed a stinking body lying in the bushes, which for some reason will not be removed from here. The goons came up to the friends and took Ricky's ball away from him. But the donut is not going to leave it like that and intends to return the ball. He doesn't have enough height, so the donut punched the Gopnik's leg and then got hit in the face. And then kicked him in the stomach. Trey offered to give Ricky his ball, but it wasn't even about the ball, it was a gift from his father. One of the thugs took pity on the kid and gave him the ball back. Jason teaches his son the rules of leadership: to make eye contact. Ask, not steal. Don't respect someone who doesn't respect you. He gives advice about girls, too. Anyone can have a baby, but only a man can raise it. Trey was born when Jason was only 17. One of his former classmates tried to encourage him to rob a store, but it was because of his son that he did not agree and went to Vietnam. But if anything, Trey didn't have to join the army. When father and son returned to the neighborhood, they saw that Donut and Chris had been arrested. Turns out they'd been stealing. Trey was upset and his father took him home. 7 years passed. Our heroes are now 17. A party was organized in the yard in honor of Donut's release from prison. After another stint in jail, Ricky the athlete has already become a young father. His mother insists that Shinies take the pills. They've had enough of one baby boy. Donut and his friends play dominoes and cards. The guys discuss girls and the risk of AIDS. Trey drops by the party. Ms. Baker asks him to talk to the young thug, see if he can get her son's brains back. Chris has grown from a little pudgy kid to a big guy, but only from the top. Underneath, he is paralyzed after a bullet wound. Donut talks about prison life. At the same time, the girls are hot to discuss Trey, though Brandy is already dating him. The whole gang is invited to the table. The dudes push the ladies around to get a quick taste of the chicken. Trey turned on the gentlemen and suggested they let the girls go first. Donut supported him, but called the ladies chicks. Coming home, Trey saw a little girl who was walking along the road and almost got hit by a car, the daughter of a local drug addict. Just then a car with Blood's gang members pulled up next to the guy. They pointed a shotgun at him for fun. Ms. Baker handed Jason some ribs. Trey asks his dad to shave his hair. The guy jokes and says that Jason will soon be a fat old man being pestered by his grandchildren. Jason decides it's time to talk about girls again and asks his son if he slept with anyone yet. Trey decided to brag. Somehow the girls came to their company, all of them started to hit on him, and the most gorgeous one came up to him and after a short conversation gave him her phone number. A week later they met at her house. Her mother and grandmother were in church. 20 minutes later, the grandmother returned and smelled a puckish odor in the air. The woman burst into her granddaughter's room with a hatchet, but Trey had already escaped. He never saw the girl again. Later Trey confesses to Ricky that he lied to his father because he is still a virgin, and then he admits that he is afraid of this case. I mean, being a dad at 17. And Brandy doesn't agree because she's Catholic and she's not going to do it before the wedding. Some guy risked stealing Dookie's necklace and got beat up pretty bad. The college scouts came to the school today. Ricky did his best to show what he can do. Trey is talking to Brandy on the phone, then his mom calls and the guy forgot to switch. The woman has gotten back on her feet and is now demanding that her son move back in with her. Except neither he nor Jason want him to. Some friends came over to Donut's place and settled down on the cellophane-covered couch. Ms. Baker continues to see him off and chases the boys outside. A car pulled up next to the house, and a man from the college came to Ricky's house. Donut was crucifying his friends to keep them from preventing the important man from entering the house. Ricky manages to impress the scout and he suggests the athlete visit the campus. The Gopniks would also like to go to college, but only to pick up girls. The agent says that Ricky only has to pass the exam. It will be enough for him to get 700 points. Then the jock's kid runs into the room. Scout thought it was the younger brother of the schoolboy and was very surprised to learn the truth. He wished Ricky success on the exam and left the house. Ms. Baker is very hopeful that her eldest son has a bright future ahead of him. It's time to take the test. Trey easily answers the questions, but Rick has trouble with it. Jason works as a financial consultant. He decided to show his son and Ricky the deeper meaning of his work and brought them to one of the most dangerous neighborhoods, Compton. Jason points to a billboard with the slogan, "Money for Housing," and explains that at a certain point houses get very cheap, then they are bought up for a pittance and then sold at a markup. His and their job is to keep this neighborhood for blacks, with black owners and black capital, like the Italians or the Jews do. For some reason, they sell crack in black neighborhoods. Gun stores and liquor stores are on every corner. You don't see that in Beverly Hills. The government wants them to kill each other so they'll die out, so black guys should think about their future instead of grabbing a gun or a bottle. Ricky wishes his brother Donut had heard the speech. They're meeting up with their friends for the evening. The street race was about to start. Some dudes from the Blood gang walk by and one of them pushes Ricky. Donut stepped in and pulled out his gun. Suddenly shots rang out. The main Blood gangsters shot the entire magazine from their Uzi. Everyone immediately scattered and got the hell out of here. Trey wants to get out of the neighborhood, and he can't make a move without getting into trouble. He and Rick are stopped by the cops and searched. Officer Cawthon pulls a gun on Trey and calls him a black freak. He went to the cops to do whatever he wanted and point them in their place. Trey's just like everybody else even though he's pretending to be a mama's boy. While Brandy was doing her homework at home, there was also a shooting nearby. Later, a distraught Trey came to see her. The guy's nerves gave out and he cried, but he was immediately ashamed of his tears. At least the day ended well for Trey, and he finally lost his virginity. Jason meets with his ex-wife. Reva is outraged that her son is going to live with Brandy while he goes to school. At college, Jason asks not to patronize Trey. He has grown up and become a man. So Reva is already too late. On the porch, Dookie tells how she was involved in last night's shooting. The Bloods dude stopped threateningly at the supermarket nearby. Donut showed he was unarmed and they drove away. Ricky was home watching soccer. His girlfriend asked him to go to the store and buy some flour. When Ricky went out into the yard, an argument broke out between him and the donut, which turned into a fight. The mother ran out and hit her unloved son in the face. Donut took offense to her. When Ricky had already moved quite far away, the mailman brought a letter with the results of the test. He goes to the store with Trey and thinks about joining the army and becoming a man, but Trey warns him that if he does so, he will no longer belong to himself. He would become the property of the country, like a slave. On the way back, they are caught by bandits. They decide to get even with these two and start to chase them with a car. The friends ran to the courtyards, so not in time Rick had to take a piss. After the sportsman suggested they split up and they went different roads. Donut saw a red car in the distance and worried about his brother. Together with his comrades, he drove towards him. The red car stopped right in front of Ricky. He tried to run away, but the bandit shot the guy in the back with a shotgun. Ricky died in Trey's arms. Donut arrived too late. The young man's body was put in the car and driven home. Shiny screamed throughout the house. Ms. Baker can't believe her eyes. She blames Donut for what happened. Cursing him, the woman lashes out at her youngest son. Trey asks him to come to his house in 5 minutes. He refuses to talk from Brandy and to his father. The kid pulls out his father's gun and is about to get revenge on the thugs, but Jason gets in his way. Maybe Trey wants to end up like Chris in a wheelchair, or maybe a donut. He's got to think about it. Jason demands that he give him the gun. Trey eventually did so and cried in his father's arms. Afterward, Brandy comes over and sees Trey escape through the window and jump into Donut's car. The friends drive around town looking for Ricky's killers. Trey changed his mind at one point though and asked to get out of the car. Ms. Baker looks at the test results. Her dead son passed the exam, scoring the required 710 rituals. The friends had been unable to find the bandits for 3 hours and decided to stop for a bite to eat. Just outside the burger joint, the trio was hanging out. Now it's time for them to be targets. The monster from Kalashnikov shot all 3 of them. Donut got out of the car and killed each of them. The main man had time to beg for mercy, but the shooter was relentless. Trey returned home without becoming an accomplice to the crime. The next morning, Donut approaches him and says he understands why his friend got out of the car. Now he has no brother and no mother. Donut's not sure they should have been killed yesterday. Now someone's gonna try to take him out. But it doesn't matter, it's just a shame Ricky died for nothing. The next day Donut buried his brother. 2 weeks later he was shot.